Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Off Market Operator Podcast. I'm your host, Cole Ruud-Johnson, and today's show, I'm going to be talking about things I would tell my 19-year-old self when I was getting into the business 7 years ago. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So 7 years ago, I remember it was after I had left school. I had driven home, made the drive from a little school called Azusa Pacific in LA back to Seattle on a random Tuesday, left class, first quarter, my second semester there, and was lost. I got my real estate license the summer ago. I had tried to open houses. I had tried listings. I never did an on-market deal. I was probably the worst real estate agent ever. Knew nothing about what I was doing. I eventually hung my license out. I'm sure you guys have heard this story before. I hung my license at a company that was doing auction deals, and I learned about the off-market side. It fascinated me. After getting in that one day, sitting at my mom's office, with borderline a tear in my eye of like, I just don't think this is going to work out. I think I made a mistake. I remember the word she told me was, if you just show up every single day and get a little bit better, eventually good things happen. And I just kept showing up. For 5 months, I showed up before I got my first deal. It ended up being a big deal. And the reality is, you guys, 6-7 years later, when you look back, you're going to be in a place you can't even comprehend. The things that you wished for just feel normal eventually. That's good and bad. It's bad because you forget like the same thing now. All the things you're frustrated with learning the hard way right now, 5-6 years from now are going to feel like nothing. You just get them. They're part of you. They're the skills that you've built. And that's why it's so important to keep going and keep pushing, so that version of you 5 years in the future has those skills. Now, it has dealt with that. A couple of things that I wish that I would have internalized earlier on is, number one of them is I would have stopped trying to get rich quick. There was always these deals that I could wholesale for 40, 50 grand, or I could have figured out a way to keep them. And hindsight's 2020. If I would have kept a lot of the deals in Tacoma, Washington and King County, Washington I would have found a partner and kept them. Those probably would have been worth 3 times the amount right now, 2 or 3 times the amount they were worth back then already. And some of these areas that got super hot during, 19, 20, 21, 22, those years. So that's number one, is to stop trying to get rich quick, right? You can make a lot of money with active income by making money, but you make real wealth by owning a business, owning a real estate. And for you guys that are sourcing your own deals in any asset class and you're listening to this, spend some time thinking about how can you keep a deal a year? How can you keep 2 deals a year? How can you keep 3 deals a year that are that discounted? You'll thank yourself in 5 or 6 years. I know I would have. The second piece, guys, that I really wish I would have internalized is understanding that for most people, you don't need a partner. And if you are going to partner with someone, make sure you actually complement each other. On the real estate side, I've been through 2 partnerships now. Both ended fairly amicably. I don't think there's any hate on either of those, right? It's always weird ending a partnership because you guys are kind of married in a way with bank accounts and thought processes and a lot of things. So it's never fun. But I don't think there's any hate between myself and my ex-partners. But either way, I think what happened as we grew is we didn't really have complementary skill sets in a lot of ways. And that's the biggest thing as partners, is eventually your roles are going to change as the business grows. One of you kind of has to become the leader of the business. The other one kind of has to figure out what their lane is. And don't partner because you're lonely or bored. The good rule of thumb is only partner with someone that's going to, if 1 + 1 is going to equal 3. What does that mean? Okay, let's say you're doing 500 grand a year by yourself, and now you're thinking of partnering with someone. If that person is going to help you get to $1 million per year, then you do not want to partner with them, right? Because you're going to be making the same amount of money with more headaches, with more stress. Now with a partner, a second decision maker. If you believe that person's going to take you from 500 to 1.5 or 2 million, it's a great partnership. And that's the lens I look through partnerships and opportunities. Is this partnership going to 3X's? Is 1 + 1 going to equal 3? If no, I'm very hesitant to make those unless they're going to bring something else like resources or funding or team members. But generally speaking, I try to stay away from 1 + 1 equals 2 because it's more voices, more opinions, more bandwidth, and more conflict for the same amount of money at the end of the day, or less, because sometimes scale brings less profit. The third thing I'll tell myself is focus on your bottom line, your profit, and what you can take home. Because if you're building a real estate business, most of you guys, you're not building a sellable entity, a sellable business, and a business with enterprise value. It's not a recurring business either. So really focusing on profit would be a huge one. And there's a quote that I like because early on, I took as much money as I could for my businesses, and it's, your business should be richer than you. That really sticks with me now. Your business should not be your personal ATM. And for me, for a long time, it was. And that definitely was, we still were doing well, but it definitely prohibited our growth in a lot of ways. That's some of my biggest regrets with my partners and I. We took a lot of money out of the business. We probably shouldn't have. That would have let us grow quicker. And who knows what that would have led to. So those are things you have to kind of you have to learn by going through, so to speak. So definitely not treating your business like an ATM and treating it as a investment and being patient, right? Getting wealthy, getting rich does take time, unless you're trading GameStop. Number 4, I would say, is the importance of people. People and relationships scale faster than anything. If you took every dollar from me right now, everything to my name, I would be pretty confident I could get it back within a few years based on relationships, right? There's some kind of opportunity or role I could find in one of my buddies' companies or partnership I could make work or guidance. So relationships over profits, what I always say. A lot of my mentors that have helped me throughout the years are people that my partner with, and instead of taking short-term money, taking long-term money. And a lot of those started with business relationships. And I think in the real world, when you're out there, a lot of personal relationships, friendships, mentorships start with a business relationship, business transaction. And that's okay, right? Everyone's busy. They got kids, they got families, they got life going on. There's got to be some value to start. And then it can become a personal friendship after that. But yeah, I've made a lot of good friendships. And I think one of the reasons I am where I am, I can make a call to pretty much get a lot of things solved, is because I've invested in my brand and my friendships. And it takes years to build the reputation and one decision to ruin one. And I've seen that happen to a lot of people that I know, is they build the reputation, they ruin it, and then it just makes life so much harder. The scamming, the stealing, the not being a man of your word, those are all things that really, really hurt people. And I think those are things, that's one of the things I actually got naturally, but I would have emphasized to myself even more of relationships are more important than money and profit. I've done a good job with that, but I think it's something I definitely would have instilled in myself and my team more. I probably would have left my former partnerships better, probably would have scaled those companies bigger and had better relationships with our vendors and partners, so on and so forth. But that's definitely a very large piece of it, is putting people over profit. It's an important part of building a scalable, successful business enterprise brand. And I guess the fifth one, the last one I'll leave you with today, is brand, understanding a brand. And I would have gone all in on social media much earlier because of the compounding that it brings you, right? If you get known as the person that can sell any deal on your market, you'll get a lot of extra deals that year just by other people coming to you to JV. So having a brand has made it easier to hire. It's made people want to work for me more. They want to be a part of something, a movement, a vision. That's what they want. They want to feel purpose. So it's made it easier to hire. It's made it easier to maintain hires. It's made it easier to launch new companies. It's made it easier to explore. It's made it easier to meet people. It makes life very fluid, and it gives you a lot of leverage off the bat. So brand is definitely the fifth, finding ways to build brand, both for your company and for yourself. The bigger your brand gets, and your brand is what people say about you behind closed doors, the bigger that gets and the better that gets, the better life is. So those are 5 things that I would definitely have emphasized to myself going back to 19. Well, thanks guys for hanging out for another episode of the Off Market Operator Podcast. As you know, I do not promote anything on this show. And I also do not put paid ads behind growing it. It grows via word of mouth, and it's grown tremendously over the past year and a half or so since I started it. If you have any questions, advice, episodes you want to see, DM me. My DMs are open. A share on your story of the show means the world. And until next time, you're always only one deal away.